The following program is intended for mature audiences.
Toronto! TBS, America's #1 independent television network, presents the following sports exclusive.
You're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes.
And check out every episode of the show at basicallysports.tumblr.com.
Now here's your hosts, Zach,
Greg, Mike.
and you're listening to Basically a Sports Show.
Toronto!
Yo.
I don't know. I don't.
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah. We smoke out the cigarettes here in Montreal. Screw you, American Yankee. I sound like a Russian now. A Russian guy. I'm a Russian guy in Montreal.
5 minutes pour rudesse.
Okay. Right.
Is that 5 minutes? That's 5 minutes for fighting, I think.
Oh, is it?
So, yeah.
All right, cool.
It's the one thing I remember from my one Montreal Canadiens game.
Cut in the cigarettes. Fine, French cigarettes.
It was Quebec, so yeah, it was probably cigarettes and baguettes.
Right, exactly.
Smoked meat bagels.
So,
Actually, I just got back from having smoked meat, so.
Nice. I heard the meat is really good in Montreal. I know they're famous for their steak, too. They've got, like, the steak that they make up there that's just supposed to be off the charts.
Yeah, Montreal steak spice is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Look, for all the shit that one could give Montreal, the food is top-notch.
I think before we go any further, guys, I thought of this right before we started recording. This is the first post-championship show we've done since 2013, where one of us came in carrying a trophy. Because Andy won the Stanley Cup in 2013?
Yeah.
And he was still on the show. So we have one show where, no, I take that back. There was an episode of Basically a Football Show where Ohio State won the national championship that Zach and I did, but a full show, first one. So Mike, congratulations. Your Toronto Raptors are the world champions.
I know, and if I don't want to pat myself on the back too much, but I'm quite proud of the avatar I cooked up for this occasion.
Yeah, it's nice.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't really know how to process it.
You never do.
I still kind of like don't believe it. Like over the past few days since they won it, I will have these moments where I'm like, holy shit, the Toronto Raptors are the NBA champions, and I'll just laugh because it's so, oh god, yeah. But no, I like I said, when it happened, like I was in tears.
I will,
as silly as it sounds, I was in tears when it happened.
I will freely admit the same thing happened to me when the Cavs won in 2016. I have no problem admitting that. And I was going to ask you this. When the Cavs won, I didn't get up and run around and, oh my God, they did it. I just kind of sat there and went, oh, like I said, got all misty-eyed and stuff. It was just like, I don't know. How did you react when it was over?
I mean, it was kind of an interesting thing because the freaking refs had to sort of suck all the momentum out of the end of the game.
Yeah.
And so it was like, when it first happened, like Steph Curry misses the 3-pointer, right? The go-ahead 3-pointer for Golden State. He misses that, scramble for the rebound, and then like there's like, okay, Golden State called a timeout, but they don't have any more timeouts, so that's Toronto ball. Like that's it, right? And then so like I freaked out then, and then I was like, and then I kind of had to settle down, and then there was, the Raptors got one. Got a free throw out of it to go up by 2, and like there were a lot of there's a lot of officiating bullshit that kind of
a lot of start and stop.
Yeah, it really did kill the moment, I thought.
You didn't just get to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holy crap, we're the champions. It was 5, 4, 3, 2,
hold on.
1.9.
Maybe. Who's shooting the free throws? I'm not sure. I guess we are. Okay.
Right.
Yes. throw in and we're done now. We're done now. We won.
The poor Raptors, you can see them sitting on the bench going like, we think we just won this, but nobody's 100. They're 99% sure, but they're not 100 yet.
You didn't get that initial release of emotion because it all.
Right. I did have that release of emotion, and then it was walked back a bit. But the thing that I would the moment that I kind of finally had the big celebration on my end was when Kawhi hit that last free throw that put the Raptors up by 4.
Yeah.
Because, at that point, 0.9 seconds left. Even if Golden State makes a miracle 3, it's still over.
Well, and it was funny. One of the announcers was still coming up with all these scenarios, and the other guy goes, "Look, it's over." Just as simple as that. It was so funny.
I was watching the TSN feed, so
Oh, they must have lost their shit.
You got the Homer announcers, is what you got.
I mean, yes, it was fantastic. But no, you know what? I will unabashedly say I streamed it. I streamed the TSN feed because if this was going to happen, I wanted to see it happen on the Canadian feed.
You wanted to listen to it in Canadian,
right? Exactly.
Canadian. So.
Wait, we have Zach. Give us a good Canadian impression of the last few seconds of the game here. You got to do it, man. Come on. I have the script. I just can't do the voice. So you got to just basically we're world champions.
Oh, yeah. So, you got 0.9 seconds here, and Kawhi, he's not shooting a penalty shot here. There's no goaltender. I'm not really sure why our team's wearing the red and black and not the blue. But, we're the champs.
Thank you.
Gord, come in here. We're going to win the title.
Gord. But, the first time a Canadian team has won a Big Four championship. Yeah, Toronto FC, much love to you, but MLS ain't at that level. But
what about the Argos?
Look, I love the Argos, but it's an all-Canadian league. But I'm talking about the Big Four, right? The Big Four leagues, which, realistically is only 3 because there's no Canadian NFL team. But, last time that happened was 93 when the Blue Jays won the World Series and the Canadians won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, you guys were dominating back then. You should have invaded while you had the chance.
And so since 1993, no Big Four team in Canada has won a championship, and it was really cool to see not just the other Toronto teams, but all of the Canadian teams in the Big Four just basically be props. And not only that, but also the CFL. The entire CFL congratulated the Raptors. That was really cool to see.
Well, and Mike, you say that the CFL is an all-Canadian league.
Mm-hmm.
The Baltimore Stallions won a Grey Cup.
I know, right?
Or any other Toronto team won a major title.
Yeah, there is that.
Think about that. Before the last time the Toronto won a major 4 title was 93, right?
Yeah, 93.
Baltimore Stallions won a Grey Cup in between the time that another Toronto team won a big title.
Look, the CFL's weird, man. All right, weird things happen in the CFL.
Yeah. Speaking of the CFL, we have a question from a listener on the CFL that we'll get to later in the show. But I just thought I'd do a little pre-promotion for that.
But yeah, no. This has been I was in tears. I've gone over it before. I followed this quote unquote stupid dinosaur team for 24 years, and to see them finally do it, I almost can't believe that it happened. I'm absolutely shocked, and I'm just so incredibly happy about it.
Mike, what do you say to the people that think this Toronto Raptors title should have an asterisk by it?
Oh, fuck that!
Because the Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant injuries.
Okay,
hey, I tried to warn Durant. I did.
Okay, one. Kevin Durant. Maybe don't force Kevin Durant back.
He said it was all his decision.
I'm sure it was. And maybe Klay Thompson don't do fucking jumping jacks when you're in the goddamn air.
No one cried a single tear for the Cleveland Cavaliers the year that they had to play the Warriors with LeBron and like 5 guys named Delly. Come on.
Yeah, like 20. That's the other thing. Like 2015, the Golden State Warriors played the Cleveland Cavaliers minus, what was it, Kyrie Irving and
Kevin Love.
And Kevin Love, right?
Yeah, like I said, it was LeBron and like 5 dudes that they found playing pickup down the street at the Y.
Yeah, it was LeBron and 5 guys, and so it's one of those cases where it's like, and what did the what did the Warriors and their fans say back in 2015? It's like, injuries are part of the game. You got to play through them, and you beat the team that's in front of you. And you know what?
I mean, yeah.
Look. I'm not. Look, Klay Thompson is a hell of a player. Dude is probably going to be a Golden State Warrior for life. Obviously that sucks. That fucking sucks. And Kevin Durant, I have more mixed feelings about because he basically destroyed the NBA for a few years. But at the end of the day, you don't wish injury on anyone, and it sucks that especially considering that he was trying to recover. He was still recovering from an injury when he got hurt again. Yeah. So that fucking sucks. It does, but at the same time, the Toronto Raptors beat the team that Golden State put in front of them. They are the champions, and nothing is going to take away from that. So, and like I said, if we're going to go that route with the asterisk and all that, then I want my 2015 title. Mm-hmm. Because what you're saying then basically is that if you're going to use the excuse that Toronto would not have won if Golden State had not been so injured, then that gives me perfectly legitimate reason to say, well, then the Cavaliers would have beaten you 2 straight years had they not been so injured. You can't. You're right. Injuries are part of the game, and as every sport, all 4 of them, I guess even soccer, when you get to the playoffs, and everybody knows it's a big part of success is staying healthy. That's the way it works. And the Warriors are not the first team to go into a final with injured players. They won't be the last. And I'm sorry, but you lost. It's as simple as that. And I think you would have lost either way, really. I mean, you lost. And again, depending on how you want to look at it from 2015, karma is a bitch, right? Like, you feasted on a Cavs team that had its best supporting cast gone, and now it comes around. This was what, the Warriors' 5th straight final. I mean, that's a lot of extra mileage on the treads, right?
Yep, it sure is.
And I'm sorry. We talk about this in the NHL a lot, right? Where it's like, not so much the Blackhawks now, but when they were in the midst of their dynasty, where it's like, well, the Blackhawks have played a lot more hockey over the last few years than any other team.
Yeah, play an entire extra season when you have this long of a run of success.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so and Kevin Durant wasn't there for the whole time, but he was on Thunder teams that were either making the finals or making the conference finals. So, even though he hasn't been on this Warriors team since the start of the dynasty, he's still racked up a lot of mileage, and you put that much extra mileage, on the tires, and it's gonna wear down. And again, injuries are part of the game. It benefited the Warriors a few years back, and now it bit them in the ass. And I don't know what to say to that other than just saying sorry. It is what it is.
The Lakers,
the Raptors beat the team that the Warriors could field, and if anyone wants to try to delegitimize that, go F yourselves, I guess. Raptors are world champions.
Michael Jordan's first title with the Bulls was against a Lakers team that lost Magic. Mm-hmm. And then I think James Worthy went down. And all of a sudden it was poor old, 65-year-old Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out there with a bunch of guys. And, Kareem at 40 was still a decent player, but come on. He played one great game. I think they actually won a game in that series, maybe the first one. And then the Bulls just ran roughshod over him. So what? So does that title not count? because the Lakers were all. It's a bad argument. It's a go nowhere argument.
Once you start saying that one title doesn't count because of injuries, then you basically have to. Well, then let's go over every final in the history.
We're retconning the entire history of sports at this point if we do that.
Yeah, it's not just the NBA. Then you start looking at what Super Bowl teams weren't at full strength, what Stanley Cup teams weren't at. The whole thing gets really goddamn stupid, and honestly, the only people who are advocating it are either bitter Warriors fans or people who are just bitter that the Toronto Raptors won the championship, because there are people who hate happiness in this world.
Yeah, they really are.
And quite frankly, I don't like. It honestly doesn't really piss me off so much. It's just kind of I'm kind of laughing at it. Again, I'm giddy at the idea. Like, Toronto Raptors won, man. Like, I don't believe it. It's just so amazing. And I was watching. I guess I was watching the Canadian feed, so they had lots of shots of Jurassic Park. On Yonge Street, outside, and not just there, but also, across Canada. Jurassic Parks are apparently popping up all across Canada, which was really cool to see. And my only thought was, I wish I was either there or back home in Kitchener-Waterloo, because that would have been really cool to have been back home for this.
Did you get to see any of the parade today?
I did. Yeah, I did. But before we get to the parade, the thing about about it is, like, as much as I say, it would have been really cool to be back home to experience this, I kind of almost got that experience, because after the game was finally over, like, everyone started texting me. So, like, I got like family, friends, like, everyone was like, "We did it! Oh my god!" So, I mean, and it was just really cool. Like, again, like, even my dad, who like has never watched a game, I don't think has ever watched a full game of basketball before in his life, was again texting me like, "What time's the game on?" Like, so it was just so cool. Such a I'm almost speechless. It's hard to describe. I'm just kind of letting it all sink in, like, again, I got misty-eyed. I teared up just to see this team that I had followed for so long. This team that had been like a laughing stock for so long. People say, the Raptors are a joke. They've got a stupid name. They have these stupid uniforms, and the mascot face plants. Which, look, I'm a huge Raptors fan, but like the mascot face planting is funny. God,
I think it might be one of the greatest animated gifs of all time.
I admit that's funny as crap.
I could not watch that and not laugh. Here's the thing. Okay, championships are special because they're hard to get.
Yeah.
And when you're on a run like the Warriors are on, I don't know if the fans lose sight of that or what, but when you don't have them very often, they really become really, really special. And that's like with the Cavs. I mean, I would be silly to sit here and try to convince you that the Cavaliers are the most popular team in Cleveland. They're a distant third behind the Indians and the Browns. But when they got there, everybody's on board because we know that this doesn't happen often. And around here, it doesn't happen ever. And, you just got to kind of go with it. So,
And just to be really, like, stupidly sentimental, like, at the parade today, you had both Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister, who is, of course, a member of the Liberal Party, and we had the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, who is a Conservative, and, they were sitting next to each other, and obviously there's a degree of staged going on, but it is just kind of nice.
Dogs are talking to cats, and, it was amazing.
But, it's just kind of nice to be like, we all kind of put that crap aside, just be like, yeah, this was pretty awesome. Yeah. And it was great to see some guys repping the inaugural Raptors jacket, pinstripes, and giant dinosaur jerseys, all like this like the team that wore this uniform that y'all made fun of, world champs. Woo!
Well, and going back to the whole thing with the asterisk and all that for a second, that's really kind of an insult to the Raptors because and I think anybody that listens to the show knows this. I don't follow basketball that closely, but watching this team play in this series, you look at that's a damn good basketball team. It's not just Kawhi Leonard and a bunch of guys that got lucky. They're really good. They've got some players on that club.
I mean, Fred VanVleet was lights out that last game.
Lowry was a great player. I mean,
Lowry. Oh, I feel like after I'm so happy for Kyle Lowry after DeMar DeRozan, left and that. I mean, that's one of the things that's kind of a hard thing. But at the same time, DeMar DeRozan, they had hit the ceiling of what they were going to be with him, and they traded him for Kawhi, and it worked out. And it really does suck. It sucks not only obviously for DeMar DeRozan, but just as a fan to be like, he was here for such a long time, and to get shipped out right before it happens, but. At the same time, Kyle Lowry he's the longest tenured Toronto Raptor, and seeing him win it was just really, really cool.
Well, there you go. The Raptors. And it was just fun to watch.
Mike, did you enjoy the Toronto Raptors championship as much as Plant Guy?
Oh, Plant Guy was amazing.
Plant Guy.
I don't know where Plant Guy got that plant. I know the area of Toronto where Jurassic Park was set up.
Yeah, no, he supposedly brought it from home.
I can't think of any shrubbery of that sort that he could have dug up.
No. They found him today at the parade.
Oh.
He said that he lives out in the woods somewhere outside of Toronto, and he literally brought that plant from home to downtown Toronto to give it to Kawhi.
That was so you never saw this, Greg.
I know what it is now. Now that I see
it,
the guy.
It's like what's the plant for? It's a housewarming gift for Kawhi.
They're gonna put it in that $400 house he bought for the 500,000 square foot house he got for $400.
What kind of plant is it? It's a Kawhi plant.
A Kawhi cactus.
A coactus, yeah.
Coactus, yeah.
Yeah,
he did bring a smaller plant to the parade today, and he was in the first row when Kawhi's bus came by, and Kawhi got the plant.
Did he really?
So
seriously?
Yeah.
All right.
I got a plant.
Nice.
So the thing about all of this is, Kawhi at the parade said that he had fun during his speech.
Right. Well,
which, by the way, I now want to get a New Balance Fun Guy T-shirt because, yeah.
Well, apparently they sold out of the Boardman Gets Paid T-shirts in 36 hours.
Yeah. Which, by the way, those shirts are beautiful because they're all in Times New Roman.
Oh my God, they're the worst shirts. New Balance, stick to making old guy shoes. Don't be making, cool sportswear.
Yeah, but they're selling.
It's not your brand. But I don't know. The parade, just so many people deep. I think I don't know if they come up with a number of people yet, but it just looks.
I'm looking at the pictures, and I think Kawhi Leonard actually said it best. I don't think anyone went to work today.
Why would you? There was they were literally doing construction on a building in downtown Toronto, either along the parade route or maybe it was next to the rally area. Mm-hmm. But all the construction workers were all standing at the ledge of their open floors, just looking out on the parade. They weren't working.
No.
We showed up, but we're not working today.
Yeah, no, it was it's just so cool. I'm still very awestruck at all of this, and after I got over, the shock, or I didn't get up and run around or anything, but I was at my computer and I was going I was celebrating. And after I got done talking to everyone who texted me, I I really didn't know what to do. As I was watching, everything unfold. So I queued up the Jurassic Park theme and had a good listen at that. So, man, the Toronto Raptors are the NBA champs. It's so amazing.
Well, there you go,
That's
man.
awesome, man.
Yeah, it's a good feeling, and enjoy it because they don't come around that often.
And I hope you've enjoyed this championship, Mike. It sounds like it's been really great. But championship celebrating season's already done because the Lakers are here, man. So,
well, I wanted to
aren't they Vegas's favorite right now? Like the odds came out.
Well, they were the Vegas favorite immediately after the finals ended, and everyone's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Mm-hmm. And I guess they already factored in that they were going to get Anthony Davis and whoever else they're going to sign when it comes time to sign people. So Lake Show's back, baby.
I mean, so to the Lake Show. I've got two questions for you, Zach.
Yes.
And you too, Greg, because you're a Lakers fan as well.
Okay.
So I guess you guys can both chime in on this question I have. How awful do you feel that the Lakers are building the team the wrong way?
Oh, I feel absolutely. I feel terrible.
Terrible about it, right? Just awful.
Really, really broken up inside about getting two of the top 5 players in the league right now on the same team. It's really killing my psyche to know that the Lakers are going to be so good because they gave up all these crappy players for a very, very good player.
So when the Lakers win the championship, you will be the one saying there should be an asterisk.
Absolutely.
You just won't feel
right. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
After I buy my championship T-shirt and championship hat, and I go to my own parade, I will be there saying, we did it the wrong way. I don't enjoy this at all. No, I'm not enjoying this championship that I am soaking in.
I'll be honest with you, Mike. I didn't enjoy it back in 1980 when the Lakers won the title because they won a coin flip to get Magic with the first pick of the draft, and I thought that's no way to do this.
No, that's not how a real team builds.
No, that's no way to do this. I didn't like it at all when they traded for Michael Thompson, and I think it was 84 or 85 and won a champion. I didn't like that. I didn't like the fact they traded for Kareem to even get to that point. I don't like any of it. I mean, to be completely honest.
Who trades for better players?
Right. To be completely honest about it, even though I lived and died with that team and loved them more than anything in the 80s, I was miserable the whole time. And I don't want any of those 5 championships. Forget it. They don't count to me.
No.
The Celtics did it the right way. And the 80s and then again in 2008.
Oh, yeah.
They went out and they traded for guys.
The Celtics never do it the wrong way, though.
Right. But they did it the right way. They traded for guys that made their team better. And that's the way you're supposed to do it. Not like the way the Lakers did it where they traded for guys to make their team better. No, you can't do it that way. No. You got to trade for guys to make your team better.
No, and I mean, God, I remember being a kid and they're like, hey, the Lakers have traded for Kobe Bryant. And I said, oh, no, geez. Yeah. This guy, he was supposed to make his career in Charlotte. Right. I couldn't possibly take him on. And then they traded for Shaq and it's, no, he had so much fun in Orlando with Penny Hardaway. What will we do with them together? It's just such a shame that the Lakers have to be the team to take this on. And, I mean, when they won the 3rd straight championship, I said, okay, guys, that's enough. We run this into the ground.
Well, then the Bastards came back and won 2 more after that without Shaq. Sons of bitches.
Then Miami continued to do it the right way where they traded for players to make them better by getting Shaq from us. But then the Lakers, God, they did it again. They traded for another good player in Pau Gasol, and then they won 2 more titles. And I just – that's when I gave up basketball, was when the team kept trading to become a better team and win because of it. Right. I couldn't deal. I couldn't deal.
Because, again, like had you done it correctly like the Celtics did in 2008,
yeah,
and went out and traded for 3 good players.
We all know that Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen are lifelong Celtics. And
Paul Pierce, don't forget Paul Pierce.
And look, and hey, when Paul Pierce was on that 24-win team the year before, with that great core they had that won 24
that they built
games,
around properly.
They
built around properly to go from 36 wins down to 24. It was a real achievement, and I got to applaud the Celtics for that.
Exactly. That's how
and
you
they
do it.
continue to do it the right way by drafting via trade these guys. Like when Minnesota took Kevin Garnett, everyone knew that they were grooming him for Boston.
Mhm.
They were growing him over there.
I
The
mean,
Celtics
the
said,
Timberwolves-
"Hey,
the-
you pick him, you grow him, and we'll get him later."
The same
Because-
thing with Bird McHale. Or with, yeah.
The Timberwolves basically said that we were going to be Boston's farm team. Like I think they said that.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the right way to do it and the wrong way to do it. And apparently there's absolutely
can't-
no difference between the two ways except which team does it. That's the
Look,
difference.
Boston does it.
I'm so tired of these teams buying their championships by trading for people.
Right.
By by giving up the Lakers just buying their way to a title by giving up 4 first-round picks and their last 2 number 2 picks. I just can't believe that they have bought their way by trading all these assets to a team that could use all these assets.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because New Orleans is not going to be any good after this. I mean, my God, they're going to be horrible.
Well, but New Orleans, again, is doing it the right way because they're going to grow these players with these picks that they've acquired from somebody else.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
The New Orleans did it the right way by trading with the Lakers, who did it the wrong way by trading with the Pelicans.
Right.
Yes.
Now you're getting
Correct.
it. Now you're starting to understand how it works. You see?
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. I understand.
The wrong way, just to make it clear to everybody, the wrong way is to trade for players to make your team better. The right way is to trade for players to make your team better. The difference is which team you are that does it. So when the Celtics do it, it's the perfect way of building a team and making what was it, the biggest turnaround in NBA history?
Yeah,
From
yeah.
24 wins to a title? That's okay. That's fine.
That's fine.
But
Also, there's a caveat to all of this, which is if LeBron James is on your team, you're automatically wrong.
yeah,
Oh,
right,
yeah, right.
exactly.
I forgot. Yeah.
Yeah. Except if he's a Cavalier. That's okay.
Yeah, and except when he wanted to come to the Lakers, and the Lakers could have said, "No, LeBron, we don't want you, best player in the game.
Why? Why would you want that?
you?
Right.
How dare you try to come to us and do that?" But he just forced his way on, and he showed up in practice and he said, "Oh, I guess he's paying us now." So
He literally showed up to Staples Center and forced his way onto the court.
I think he broke into the place, honestly. Yeah, I don't get it. I heard.
The fact that it was like a Boston guy making that argument just like furthered my fucking hatred.
And there's so much talk of this quote unquote process, and like I said on the boards yesterday, the process is whatever you do within the rules defined by your league to win. That's the process. Some teams do it via trade. Occasionally, you get a team that does build from within with draft picks and stuff. But I mean, really. Yeah. And even those teams always go out and find those extra couple of pieces that they needed.
And again, you can't buy titles in the NBA. The way that, when I think of buying a championship, I think of all those Yankees teams that we all hated.
Yeah.
Where, they did have some homegrown talent in there, sure. But then they just threw gobs of money at every free agent they could to build up these super teams that would either win or flame out. Now, in a league where you have a salary cap, and again, yes, the Lakers signed LeBron, but it's not like they fired the entire team and then used all that money that they were no longer paying to people, supposedly, to then buy LeBron and buy Anthony Davis. And
they literally fired everyone who worked for the team. LeBron James not only plays for them, he is running it. He's organizing concessions.
They traded 3 players and 4 first-round picks. What? Yeah, sure. We're buying it in the sense that we're giving up a lot of assets.
Well, that was going to be my second question, which was serious.
Right.
Do you think that they gave up too much?
No.
It depends. At first blush, no, I don't think so.
Here's the thing. The way to judge this trade is if they win.
Yeah.
If they win a championship, it's all worth it, and I don't care. But if this flames out and then they're stuck without a first-round pick for the next 4 years, then, this is something that could set the franchise back somehow even further into completely making them the Knicks, which, God forbid. But as long as the other thing, you want to grow this team, sure, sounds great. LeBron isn't getting any younger, and he's still LeBron. He's still pretty damn good. but everybody loses it eventually. Like, could you imagine the Denver Broncos when they got Peyton Manning, if they said, you know what, we're not going to sign any wide receivers or defensive players. We're gonna go through the draft. We're gonna hope this team, develops, and in 3 years, when Peyton Manning is 42 years old, we'll see if we can make a title. Right. No, they went out and bought DeMarcus Ware and paid for all these guys, paid for linemen, paid for receivers, so that they could win right then and there, because they knew that this is the shot. This is what you got. And especially, I think the other thing that goes into this is if you're the Lakers and you're in the Western Conference and then you're watching these NBA Finals and you see Kevin Durant go down with an Achilles, Klay Thompson go down with an ACL, and you see Steph Curry and the Washington Generals out there trying to scratch and claw their way to stay in a series, you say, hey, their time's done. If we're going to do this, we got a window. Let's do what we can to take advantage of this.
I mean,
it's the way to do it.
I mean, LeBron James only has, he's got a limited amount of top flight seasons left. You want to make them all count.
And I think Anthony Davis is a good, even post LeBron, is a good centerpiece guy to have, even after LeBron does start becoming more of a complimentary player as to being what he is now.
I really did appreciate DG Now's take on LeBron and AD both get injured. AD goes back to the Pelicans and they win a title while the Lakers get contracted because they didn't do it the right way.
Right, yeah. That was great.
Here's the thing, too. Again, if this works out the way that the Lakers want it to work out and that Laker fans want it to work out and they're good, then those first-round picks are going to be garbage.
Yeah.
In theory, first-round picks sound great, but we know how the NBA works. And if your pick is not top 10, probably if it's not top 5, it doesn't matter. There are plenty of guys that you can point to and say, this is a guy that was drafted outside of the top 8 or whatever.
But
look at Kawhi Leonard as an example. But
before I forget,
beyond that,
let me throw this in really quick before I forget. But because I saw that list of all these players, and I thought, okay, but how many of them came from the same draft? Meaning that, yes, you can get a Kawhi Leonard with the 12th or 15th or whatever pick, but how often? It's not like that every draft there's a Kawhi Leonard sitting there at 12 or a Dwayne Wade at 16. It doesn't. That's the point. Overall, you can get later rounds, guys in the later picks, but they're not. It's not like the draft is stacked top to bottom with them.
The guys who stand out, like a Kawhi Leonard, for example, the reason why those examples are so easy to call to mind is that they're so few and far between.
Right.
Here, you want to know? This is where Kawhi Leonard's draft. Okay, the 2011 NBA draft. Number 1 overall was Kyrie Irving. Okay, makes sense. But then. After that, again, there's a bunch of guys that aren't great. Kyrie Irving goes 1. Then you have Derek Williams, Enes Kanter, Tristan Thompson, Jonas Valanciunas, Jan Vesely, Bismack Biyombo, Brandon Knight. Number 9, you get Kemba Walker, who's good. Number 10, Jimmer Fredette, who is in China now. 11, Klay Thompson, great. Alec Burks, Markieff Morris, Marcus Morris, and then Kawhi Leonard comes in at 15.
That's the thing, though. That's what I'm saying. Look at that draft. There's 4 names on it that are good players
that stand out.
And honestly, that's probably a lot from a first round in the NBA draft.
And then the other one that you would know, the 30th pick in the first round was Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
So,
but the thing is, the point I'm making is that you can't do that. You cannot count on that every single year. Yes, it happens. It does happen. There's no question about it. But the way the person that was making that argument portrayed it was like, look. Just because you don't have a top 4 pick doesn't mean that you've got garbage. Well, 9 times out of 10, it does mean you've got garbage. And that list just kind of showed you that.
Yeah.
And again, if things work out for the Lakers, it's not like the Pelicans are going to be swimming in top draft prospects, right?
If things work out, they're going to be drafting 27, 28, 29, 30, something like that. Mm-hmm. If they make it to the Western Conference Final or they make it to the NBA Final or they win, which is the whole point of all this, like – and this has been documented time and time again. If you want to win an NBA title, you have to have star players. Mm-hmm. It's just the way it works. Like look at Toronto. for years toiling in what they were, either in obscurity or if we looked at them last year and said they made the Eastern Final, they had a good season. This is probably the peak of what the Toronto Raptors can be, because nobody will ever go to the Toronto Raptors, and they're just they're going to be too good to get low picks. So this is what they are. But then they get a miracle trade. They shoot for the fences. They do get Kawhi Leonard, and lo and behold, they go win an NBA title. So if the Lakers are going to sit around and have LeBron, and LeBron on his own with what the Lakers had, probably isn't ever going to win a title.
Oh, because, God, I don't know that they make the playoffs consistently.
No, because Lonzo was taking too long to develop. Brandon Ingram was taking too long to develop. Both those guys had injury troubles. Josh Hart had progressed. Those are the three guys they traded. I'm okay with getting rid of those guys. Like, maybe you say, well, Lonzo's a point guard, and maybe they wanted to keep him. And there's a lot of people that are kind of high on Lonzo at this point, but you can get somebody else. It was
worth it to trade Lonzo Ball to get rid of that idiot dad of his. If you ask me,
he had been quiet for a while, and unfortunately, he popped back up because of all this.
Yeah,
saying more dumb shit. But
yeah, I saw that clip on ESPN during First Take.
Yes. Anyway, to win titles in the NBA, you need star players, and this is how you do it. Yes, not the Golden State Warriors are a great example of a team, quote unquote, doing it right in drafting Klay Thompson and drafting Steph Curry and drafting Draymond Green and letting it all play out. But that doesn't happen as often as people want to think it does in the NBA.
Name another time it's happened.
I can't think of anything like
Pistons.
The 04 Pistons probably. That's a good, but that's my point.
Yeah. The only other one I can think of would be the Spurs.
Yeah. But the Spurs are your other example. But
but look how long that took. When you really think back about it, it started with David Robinson.
Yeah,
and he was the tail end.
99.
Yeah, he was the tail end of his career when they finally got him a title. And they just kept building and building and building. I mean, it finally paid off, but it wasn't like a 4-year plan. I mean, it took a good long time where they were like the Raptors were before this. They would make the playoffs, but they didn't have enough to get over the hump. Then they got Tim Duncan, and things started getting better. And then Ginobili shows up, and I forget some of the other guys.
One of the examples that comes to mind is the Bulls dynasty, right? Well, guess what? They went up and they got Dennis Rodman from Detroit.
Yep.
Because they said we need to make the team better. They went out, they got Dennis Rodman from Detroit. Was that doing it the wrong way because they didn't? Everyone wasn't a home.
Oh, they got more than just Rodman with that group. There was a couple other guys. I think. Who was the big guy that played center for them? I can't think of his name. Anyway, Rodman was not the only trade they made to make that team better. They made quite a few deals to put a team around Pippen and Jordan, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's the thing.
And I like to throw the Dallas Mavericks team that won a few years ago in there too.
Yeah,
but even then, they got Jason Kidd at the tail end of his career, and he still had a bit more left in him.
But again, too, what is no matter whether or not you build your teams like this, what is the key part of all those teams? They still had these superstars that you could latch onto. Say whatever the hell you want. Let's go into a world where, say, the Lakers don't get LeBron. They don't actually go out and sign him, but they still have the draft picks they have. Lonzo Ball isn't an NBA title centerpiece.
No.
Mm-hmm. Brandon Ingram isn't an NBA title centerpiece. For the Lakers to quote unquote do it the right way, they would have to just go into a period of pure suck and hope that these things hit. So and a team that tried that, the Philadelphia 76ers. And they have guys like Joel Embiid, they have guys like Ben Simmons. They're the new Toronto Raptors where they're still probably going to need somebody else to get over the hump.
Not only that, but how long did it take them just to get to this point?
Yeah.
How many years did that to suck? Here's another thing, too, that needs to be brought into this. And whether people like it or not, that's entirely, I don't care. This is the reality. These are the Los Angeles Lakers. They do not have the luxury of taking 10 years off to build a team, quote unquote, the right way. It just doesn't work like that with the Lakers.
Not the way it works.
No.
And call that whatever you want to call it. Call it entitled. Call it, elite. Call it whatever the hell you want to call it. But that's just what the team is. Sure, teams go through down periods all the time. But, you don't think the New York Yankees are still trying to win the title every single season? It's just when you're when you're considered to be the best or in that upper echelon, like the Lakers are, like the Celtics are, you don't think that it's embarrassing for the Celtics to go out like chumps to the Milwaukee Bucks? They were in it the whole way to try to get Anthony Davis. This is the other thing too, that Mr. Build the team the right way doesn't factor in. The other team supposedly in on these talks were the Celtics.
Of course.
But they held to their morals and said, no, we don't want to give up Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum for Anthony Davis, because the other reason is the thing that needs to be brought in when these NBA discussions. It's no longer a team-controlled league; it's a player-controlled league.
Right.
And the Celtics knew that if they gambled all this for Anthony Davis, he was never going to sign there.
No.
So. Yeah, if you're a team like Toronto, if you're a team like Boston, I guess now, yeah, you do have to quote unquote build it the right way. But if you're a team like the Lakers, where no matter who you are, players still want to come play for you, what are you supposed to do? Do you want to say no? We don't want all these good players. We want to grind through it and build from nothing.
Well, and that's like the Lakers.
That's a great romantic way to think about sports, and it's something that we all like to say that our team did it the right way. But you know what else I like more than doing it the right way?
Winning.
I like winning.
Yeah.
And if you can win, go win. You can fix everything else later.
I don't see this Lakers deal as anything. Yeah. I mean, they gave up a lot. Let's be honest about it. It's not like they sent over a bag full of basketballs and Lorenzo Ball to get Anthony Davis. I mean, they took a hit. And if these players work out, and they very well could, I guess I don't see the only two people that have any right to complain about this are Lakers fans and Pelicans fans. After that, I mean, what the hell difference does it make to you? If it works out for the Pelicans, great. They're going to get Zion Williamson. They're going to have a hell of a core to build with there. And when the time comes, I promise you, they're going to be out looking for another piece or two to add, and it's not going to be through the draft.
All I know is that if AD had been traded to the Celtics, it would have been building the team the right way. That's all I know.
Exactly. If you get treated east of the Mississippi, that's okay. West of the Mississippi, it's not allowed. I don't know. Yeah. Nobody wants to go to Boston. I mean, they've had and nobody wants to talk about this either, but
I mean, this past season has been sort of a clusterfuck.
Well, not only that, but there's always been a racial thing with Boston. Now, I'll be honest, Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett and who's the third one? Ray Allen. It helped a lot with that, but there was a long time there where black players didn't want to play in Boston because it's got, and so they helped, but
winning cures that.
Yeah,
I think.
But I still don't know that the Celtics, despite being a marquee team, are at the top of a lot of lists for players. I just don't think they are. So, but anyway, the whole point being, here's what happened, okay? The Raptors won the title, the Lakers went out and made a trade, and basketball's doing what basketball does. But I don't know what else you can say about it.
Because, again, the Raptors are a great example of building your team and all that. They still had to trade for Kawhi Leonard to win.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll be the first one to tell you that the Raptors, without trading for Kawhi Leonard, were not going to get over the hump because, God damn it, they tried. They won something like 59 games last season and got utterly annihilated by LeBron James and a few guys from the Cleveland Y. So
yeah.
It's one of these things where it's like, they built a great team, quote unquote, the right way, but they were still missing something, and they went out and they made a trade to make the team better, and the team won a championship. So
right.
I don't see what the problem – I do see what the problem is for some of these people who are bitching about it, but it's not a logical reason. It's just people, one, being angry that it's the Lakers,
Oh, yeah, if the Clippers make that deal, no one's upset.
And two, it's, people have, like, I don't know why, because he's a great player, he's a great player, and he's been great for the league, but for some reason, LeBron James brings out, like, the worst in some people, and I don't understand it.
Facebook has that memories feature that it tells you every day, like, hey, go look at what you said 6 years ago.
Because people want to be reminded of that all the time.
and I go back and I look at some of my things. I said a lot of dumb crap about LeBron when he, first went to the Heat, and I think we all did at the time. But like, he was an immature player, and we were immature about him.
Well,
and then,
no one was ever that pissed that he went to Miami. It was the way he went on national television and stuck a knife in Cleveland's heart. That was the problem.
And again, he has admitted that. He was like, "That was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. Right. It was just, yeah."
And then, when the guy could have just as easily gone to the Lakers, 5-6 years ago, he says, no, I've got to go back and fix this. And he does. Mm-hmm. And he comes back and he wins a title with the Cavaliers. And and all's forgiven.
It's just weird how, like, LeBron, like, honestly, okay, you'd still get a lot of this reaction if it was just the Lakers, but I don't think you'd be getting this much visceral anger over it if LeBron James wasn't also a Laker. Like, if the Lakers had made a trade similar to this, but LeBron James wasn't on the team, I don't think it gets nearly as much. What
people would say is like, oh, the Lakers are back to being the Lakers again, which is kind of the way I see it, is like, yeah, this is what the Lakers do. As a Laker fan, I've been here. I see how it works. How did Kobe win his first titles? Well, first they traded for Kobe at the draft. Then they traded for Shaq. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there are homegrown guys on those championship teams, and those are guys that you really latch onto. You know who my favorite Laker of all time is? It's not Shaq, it's not Kobe, it's not Magic. It's Derek Fisher. Yes, as a fan, you're going to feel so much better for the guys that have stuck through it. Like, I'm sure Toronto fans, they all feel that way about Kyle Lowry, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely.
But you also realize that you would not be winning if it wasn't for Kawhi. The Lakers aren't winning if it's not for them trading for Gasol, trading for Shaq. And so, like, you can still appreciate the grassroots bones of the team, but
you got to go out, you got to make moves to get over the hump.
Really, the only sport that I can think of, I guess baseball and football, you can both do it kind of the grassroots way. Like,
kinda.
Yeah, baseball. Like, look at the Astros. They did it, but most of their guys are through the draft and that stuff.
To do it the quote unquote right way, as a fan, you've got to be willing to be horrible for 10 years.
Yeah,
and you got to be willing to sit and wait for another 5 and hope that all the decisions you made are going to turn out right. In the Astros case, they did. 9 times out of 10, they don't. You rebuild. Look at the Knicks. My God. They've tried a million different ways. Nothing's working for them.
The Knicks are one of the funniest stories of 2019, by the way.
You two are now banned from the Garden.
Yeah, that's okay.
So we go through this whole thing. The Knicks fans had this plan in their head, right, where they're going to sign Kevin Durant in the offseason. They're going to trade for Anthony Davis.
They're going to get Zion.
They were going to pick number 1 and draft Zion. And then in the span of less than a month?
Yeah.
And they lose Zion. KD ruptures his Achilles. And the Lakers get Anthony Davis. So now the Knicks go from, hey, we got it all figured out, we're going to do it, to, oh, crap.
Oh, I forgot to bring this up, too. The Bass Curse is alive and well, folks. All of us, picked the Bruins. And I think we picked the Raptors, though, didn't we? We actually thought the Raptors would win.
I picked the Raptors.
I think we all went with the Raptors, but we were all pretty much positive that our St. Louis Blues would not get the job done. And then they went out and played Game 7 exactly the way I thought it would go, except the teams were reversed. That was the game I thought we would see, but I thought it would be Boston doing all of what happened there. But it was Jordan Bennington playing the role of Tuukka Rask and our St. Louis Blues guys. I couldn't quit them for how many years now, and look at me now. No more irrational confidence, just plain old pure confidence. I love it.
It was a great week.
It really was. It really was.
We avoided the Warriors and a Boston team.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Boston lost at home in a Game 7. The Warriors lost at home in their final game in Oakland.
Yeah.
Brad Marchand cried, which was beautiful.
Oh, Brad Marchand. Did you see the Photoshop that somebody made of Brad Marchand licking his own tears?
No, I didn't. Jeez.
Yeah, somebody cut out Brad Marchand licking somebody's, a Toronto Maple Leaf, presumably.
Has anybody done any
lick his own tears? So
anybody made any kind of gifts with like bulls running by him and stuff from that play at the end of the first period there, where he basically olayed? That's going to get out there too. But yeah, the Blues, man. I mean, of all teams, the St. Louis Blues guys. Right now, we live in a world where the Toronto Raptors are the NBA champions and the St. Louis Blues are the Stanley Cup champions.
I literally thought I'd never see either of those things happen.
And not in the same year. Never in the same year.
No, especially not on the heels of two, a Patriots title and a Red Sox title.
Yeah, the Patriots win the Super Bowl, the Red Sox win the World Series, and you just assume we're in for the fucking sports apocalypse.
I'm looking it up right now. I've got to see what a combo bet would have paid if you bet on these two teams at the beginning of the season.
Well, not even at the beginning of the season, just like the fact that, again, like this has been said time and time over, and it's like the defining fact of the Blues, but January 3rd or January 5th or something like that, they were dead last in the NHL.
Yeah.
Like, over the halfway point.
And the entire NHL or just in their conference?
In the entire NHL. They were 31 out of 31 on January 5th or whatever. And that's when they went into a Philadelphia bar, discovered the song Gloria, and
or Glorious.
To a Stanley Cup champion.
Glorious, as our friend Tank refers to it.
Yeah. But it's great to see. We've actually had a pretty decent run over the last few years of teams winning their first titles, which is always fun. Amidst all the Boston darkness that we've had to go through, there have been when it's not Boston winning, it is a team that you're not used to seeing win a title, which is always fun.
Well, we had the Caps last year.
We had the Caps last year.
Got the Blues this year.
We had the Cavaliers. Even before the dynasty, when the Warriors won their first title, it was like, holy shit!
Yeah, I mean,
the Warriors.
Yeah, I don't think the Warriors. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but I don't think that they get like hate so much as just fatigue. Like with people with the Patriots, like, okay, we hate them now, but with the Warriors, it's like they're not a dislikable team or unlikable team. They're just kind of like
I don't know. Boogie Cousins is pretty unlikable.
Well, yeah. But they're just kind of like, okay, we've seen this. Let's move on to something else. So that's kind of how I feel about the Warriors. I don't dislike them.
There was also the Cubs recently.
The Cubs won. The Blackhawks. The Blackhawks have won for the first time in a while. The Kings won their first. The Royals, as you said, Mike. Like, yeah, it's been a pretty damn decent run overall this decade. For Houston, the Astros,
right? I'm watching this video. I'm watching this clip on loop, by the way, of Brad Marchand in the middle of a Blues rush, just leaving the ice.
So good.
At the end of the first period?
Caption, in the first period, the caption just says, well, that's just too bad.
No, when the Blues scored that second goal, that was it.
Uh-huh.
Like, despite Boston outshooting the Blues by a significant margin, they weren't in it. Like, the Blues defense did a great job of keeping all those shots to the outside.
Yeah.
And even when they did get a good shot, Binnington made some huge saves.
He was amazing.
Absolutely huge saves.
I thought he was amazing. I thought it was easily the best game he played, at least in that series, probably the entire playoffs. Yeah. Really
easily
good.
His best game of that series. And Ryan O'Reilly became the first player since Wayne Damn Gretzky to have a 6-game point streak in the Stanley Cup Final.
Wow!
On his way to the Conn Smythe Trophy. Yeah. Which, by the way, wouldn't Buffalo love to have a second line center on a reasonable contract right about now that plays hard and wins faceoffs? Oh, wow. Too bad. Literally, the Buffalo Sabres sucked his joy of hockey out of his body, and he demanded a trade. Like, he was like, yeah, losing sucks. I don't like playing hockey anymore because of all the losing he went through in Buffalo. So then they traded him, and then he wins the Stanley Cup in his first year. So
to go back to what we were talking about earlier, the process and all that. Buffalo's been trying to do the process, and what's it gotten them?
remember the tank year where they traded their goalie because he was winning too many games?
Yeah. I mean, and they've tried to do the whole build the draft picks and all that, and where are they? They're still the same exact fucking spot they were. We left them 5 years ago. Anyway.
But the St. Louis damn Blues, I really don't believe it.
Now you guys know why I could never quit them. I just could not give up on them. I knew they'd have to do it eventually.
Yeah, this is why.
Yep.
I am a little relieved that they won on the road because then they didn't win in the Blues with the white numbers.
Yeah, that's true. That would have been a fucking atrocity.
What did you think of the cup presentation? Because this year they added sparklers.
I didn't care for it.
It looked dumb, and it looked dumb, and it's like, this is why this league isn't taken seriously. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't care for it.
They made a brand new fancy podium. They launched sparklers, and it's like, all right. I mean, it wasn't broken. Like the handing the cup off is probably still the best thing every season.
It's the Stanley Cup. I think it has enough cachet to stand on its own. You don't need to put a bunch of gimmicks behind it. Is what I would say.
It just seemed beer league. Is what I would say.
I don't know. I get it in the NFL and all the streamers and stuff go off, but you're also looking at an 80,000 seat stadium. Blah blah blah. But the Stanley Cup. It's just classier than that, I think is the word I'd want to use. It just doesn't need all that nonsense. It's the Stanley Cup. That in itself is enough. You don't need to add anything to that. The team that's getting it, I'm sure, is very thrilled to be getting it. You don't need to try to, like, up the ante and make it like, wow, it's an even bigger deal than it already is. We all get it. Hockey fans know what a big deal it is. And people that are watching that don't know what a big deal it is, well, the sparklers aren't going to help them figure that out. They're not going to go, oh, now I get it. I mean, come on. I didn't like it at all. I thought it was really just not great. Not great at all.
Yeah. But, again, this is a Blues franchise that from 1980 to 2004 had made the playoffs 25 consecutive seasons. And then the year after the lockout, they didn't make it. This is a team that was, won the President's Trophy one year. Lost in the first round to the Sharks. They've been first in their division several times. Lost in the first round in 87. Lost in the first round in 85. Lost in the second round in 81. Lost in the first round in a sweep in 77. They went to their first 3 years of existence. They went to the Cup Final. Didn't win a single damn game. In the recent years post lockout, they've made the playoffs all but they didn't make it for the first 3 years after the lockout. Then they got swept in the first round in 09. Didn't make it for the next 2 years. Won the division. Beat the Sharks in 5. Swept by the Kings. Then lose in the first round to the Kings. Lose in the first round to the Blackhawks. Win the division. Lose in the first round to the Wild. Then they make it to the conference finals. Finally, back in the conference finals for the first time since 2001. Lose to the Sharks.
But didn't they beat the Blackhawks in a series along the way there? The good Blackhawks?
That was that year, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, they eked out 7-game series against the Blackhawks and Stars before losing to the Sharks.
Before this, that was the high point, I think.
Yeah, then they lost the Wild, or beat the Wild, lost to the Predators. Didn't qualify for the playoffs last year.
Really?
Didn't even make the playoffs last year, no.
Wow. I thought I could have sworn we did the whole annual St. Louis Why Do We Bother party last year.
No, you didn't have to last year.
Oh, so 2 years in a row it's not taking place.
Yeah, well, last year you weren't even tempted because they didn't make it.
Yeah. Well, now I'm completely done with them. I have no interest in them whatsoever now. None.
They missed the playoffs by 1 point last year, so it's not like they were completely out of it. But
yeah.
But then, like, you go from not making the playoffs to having just such a crappy start to the season. Again, last place in January. Fire the coach, interim coach. He's still the interim coach, by the way. Never got that title removed. Craig Berube. Just, found something in this team. They call up Jordan Binnington and they go on their way, And even the playoffs weren't a cakewalk for them.
Oh, no. I think that we wrote them off a couple different times in the playoffs.
Yeah, but they won 3 games in Winnipeg. They won 2 games in Dallas. They won 2 games in San Jose.
Well, that was
in the Stanley freaking Cup Final, they win 3 games on the road, including Game 7.
That was what was weird about the playoffs and the finals this year in the NBA too, was how much road winning was taking place. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just the whole thing. Everything's upside down right now. But here we are, the Blues, St. Louis Blues, Stanley Cup champions. After all the we made jokes about the Raptors. Why do people bother? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, it's a running meme on the show, the annual St. Louis Why Do We Bother party, which I officially canceled the night that they won the cup, by the way. For those interested, though, your tickets do carry over to the annual Cleveland Browns We Knew It Was Too Good to Be True party, which is scheduled for sometime between weeks 4 and 6 this coming NFL season.
When Odell Beckham Jr. gets mauled by a stray grizzly bear or something. Right.
By a pack of feral cats. Yeah. So it's been fun. I mean, because you go into it, you know, we always do. I don't know if we like underdogs or what, but it seems like our team, like we might get one, we never get both. This year we got both. We got both teams that we wanted, and it was a lot of fun. And it was great to see, like you said, Zach, teams that have never won it before win it. That was awesome. It's you know, because we've all won one of these things in one form or another now, and you know how special it is, and especially that first one is just amazing.
And now, I mean, do you want to include the Sharks as a 67 expansion team?
No,
because technically they're not.
I want to.
I know there's the lineage, but on the NHL books, as it stands in the league office, every team except for the Golden Seals, because they don't exist anymore, have won a Stanley Cup, you know, from that 67 expansion. Of course, 1967, the last year the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, fuck off!
Hey, you've got a Larry O'Brien trophy. That's just as good, right?
See, I told you he's great. He gets you all built up and takes your legs right out from under you. It never fails.
Let me put it to you this way, Zach. Think about this.
Yeah.
If we consider the Sharks a 67 expansion team, then we can laugh at them for being the only ones without one.
Oh, I can laugh at them for many reasons.
Yeah, I don't need that to laugh at the Sharks. Come on.
No, the Sharks are fun on their own. So then you turn to the next wave, like the teams that still haven't won in their franchise history. Like there are teams that haven't won in a long time, but teams that have never won a cup in terms of, you know, age. You have the Buffalo Sabres. You have the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, the 1970 class doesn't have any.
Right. But the Capitals won, but no cups for the Canucks or the Sabres. And then you wait a while until there's another expansion. And, you know, yeah, do you feel bad for San Jose, Buffalo, Ottawa, or not Buffalo, Florida, Ottawa, Nashville?
No.
Vegas, Columbus?
No.
Look, I'm going to say this.
Not even my own Columbus Blue Jackets. No, I don't.
Nashville's
inability to win one actually is a deep source of joy for me. So,
and I guess by the way, if we're going to count moves, one of the other older teams that wasn't on there because I was looking at teams that actually had played in the final, the Coyote Jets, not in there.
Mm-hmm.
Never even made the final. There's only four teams that have never made the Cup final.
Columbus, the Jets and Coyotes.
Columbus, Jets, Coyotes. Who else?
The Thrasher Jets.
Thrasher Jets, okay. And
there's only one more. It's your expansion brother, Greg.
Oh,
the Wild.
The Wild, yeah.
Yep.
Those pesky Wild, always the best team in the league, except for scoring goals.
Right. Well, you know, what are you going to do? I mean,
yeah.
Ever since these new advanced stats came along, it's a tougher world to live in.
Like goal scoring, you know.
Yeah, right. When they started counting that shit, I mean, come on.
But yeah, I mean, look. Oh, another thing to circle back up and to talk about something that you brought up last week, Zach. The Vegas Golden Knights. Fuck you. Look at what I had to go through as a Raptors fan. That's how you fucking root for an expansion team. You fucking spoiled assholes.
All they have to do is look at the Blues. Like, look at the team that beat them last year in the Capitals. Look at the Blues winning this year. Like, these are teams that, despite many successes in the regular season, have struggled struggled at many times to, like, remember the expansion Capitals were some of the worst teams that the league's ever seen.
Yeah.
The Capitals had to suck pretty bad. Like, after they went to the Cup Final in '98, they kind of tanked it.
They went to the Cup Final. They went to the Cup Final in '98 and got utterly destroyed by the Red Wings. So.
Yeah, right. And then they tanked and got Ovechkin, and then they won and they won and they won, but they couldn't.
You're just gonna brush over the Jaromir Jagr years.
Well, yes, because I think Jaromir Jagr did too. And then you look at the Blues. I mean, like I outlined it: the 25 years, the Al McGinnis teams, the Brett Hull teams, all these great Blues teams that just, I mean, hell, they went out and got Wayne Gretzky to play with Brett Hull and thought, like, hey, we're gonna make a run at a cup. Nothing.
I mean, there's that joke, right, where the Blues listed all the Hall of Famers who've ever played for them, and they put it on like Martin Brodeur, who played like a week. And
I hate when teams do that.
And then so like some guy responded, it's like, "Hi, I just started following hockey today. You guys must have so many Stanley Cups." Like that was
yeah. And still nothing. And
well,
and they're in a town where, like, they can try as hard as they want to, but they're never going to be the Cardinals, right?
No.
Even when the Rams were around, it's like, were they going to beat out the Rams? I don't know. But as much as we hate the Cardinals, for the city of St. Louis to lose its football team and then 2 years later have your eternally bereft franchise of the Blues that literally almost moved to freaking Saskatoon at one point.
Yeah, that almost happened.
The NHL almost spurned St. Louis for Saskatoon.
Hey,
and they finally won a cup.
Saskatoon's a lovely town, all right? I'll have you know.
I'm sure it's just as lovely as St. Louis in its own way. But these people, these terrible pizza eating, bagel slicing, vertically people,
Bosnians
and Bosnians, finally get to celebrate a Stanley Cup championship.
I think it's awesome. I do.
Cool.
I do. And they'll never be the Cardinals, but I do think that they have a loyal, deeply disturbed, pretty good following for the Blues there.
I mean, yeah, they've gone through hell.
Look, not just Blues fans, city of St. Louis. I say this as a Jewish person. Fix your fucking bagel game, all right?
Now, what do they do? I don't get this. They slice them.
They slice it like bread. It's weird.
Yeah, they don't slice it horizontally.
They slice it vertically.
I'm trying to picture this.
There's pictures.
All right, hold on.
No, man. Like St. Louis, congratulations on the Stanley Cup. I'm legitimately very happy for you, but like, you've got to fix your fucking bagel game because it's a travesty. Anyway, I've got.
Oh, what the hell is that?
See, right?
Oh,
right?
You can't do that. No, that's like a loaf of bread.
Exactly. These fucking savages.
What is wrong with you people?
Between this and the fake cheese that you put on your cracker pizza, like, I don't know what's going on.
I couldn't picture vertically. I had to see it. It's like, no, I don't slice a bagel that way. Good Lord.
Even when I'm happy for you, St. Louis, why do you make it hard? Like, why do you make it hard?
Mike, that's bagel slicing the right way. Damn it. Before we go, guys, we have a question from one of our very loyal listeners. It's kind of fun, I think. Shouldn't be too difficult. It's from Joe at Don't Duck Up THFC on Twitter. Do you mind taking a question for the show, particularly for Mike? If so, Here we go. Since ESPN and ESPN Plus are showing CFL games, how does an American pick their CFL allegiance? Basically, he wants to know how to go about picking a CFL team as his favorite.
Well, I mean, there are a number of ways that you can consider it.
You can do it the way I did it, which you see a team with an absolutely ridiculous name and go, those are my boys.
Yeah, you could just, you could just be like Red Blacks, ride or die. And,
absolutely.
I mean, honestly, that is a legitimate thing. Like, if you're an American and you're following a league like the CFL where you do not have a hometown team, like there is no local team, at that point, I kind of say it's fair game.
Yeah.
And if it's as simple as, hey, I like the name or I like the logos or I like the uniforms, then go for it. Because, there's no local option. It's as good enough as anything else is. If you want to go that route, you can. You can also do a thing where, you could just go with the team that's closest to you geographically.
You could go the boards route and pick the one with the uniform you like best. Yeah. Go uniforms. The other thing is, and again, depending on what kind of stuff you find interesting, is a lot of the CFL teams are kind of older. Like I'd say, like the younger CFL teams, aside from the Red Blacks. The Red Blacks are pretty new. But everyone else kind of goes back to like the 60s or earlier. So there's a lot of interesting history. And if you wanted to so, if you were trying to figure out what team you like, just start looking into the history of the league, see if there's any kind of colorful story or interesting little fact about one of the teams. Like the Toronto Argonauts are not just the oldest team in the CFL. The Argonauts are actually older than any other NFL team. I did not know that.
Yeah. The Argonauts are the oldest football franchise.
I think Zach just exploded.
Still here.
But so yeah, if you want to look through the history and be like, oh, that's kind of a cool story, then that's one way. Another way, which is kind of how I kind of fell in love with the Cardinals, who are my second NFL team. Over time, just watching the NFL a lot, you just sort of gain an attachment, if you don't have a local option. Like, again, growing up, I didn't have a local NFL team. So I came to the Cardinals just by watching a lot of NFL games, and I was just kind of, pulling for them because they were kind of a sad sack team for a long time.
That's, I think, probably the easiest way is just to watch the league and
see who you gravitate toward. But yeah, you can uniforms, interesting little factoids or history, or just watching the team, or geographic convenience. Like if you're in the if you're already in the Pacific Northwest, if you're in like around the Seattle or Portland areas, then we're for the BC Lions out in Vancouver. Like that's a good one. Or if you live in Michigan, Toronto's not too far. Toronto or Hamilton, something like that. But I will say that I'm really glad to hear that you're looking to get into the CFL, because the CFL is a really fun game when you give it a chance. It's a faster paced game. It's really fun, and the great thing you're going to find about the CFL is because the ball moves faster with only 3 downs. You're going to find out that you're going to reach a point where games in the CFL where you would normally say, okay, it's over in the NFL. No, there's still a chance to turn it around. You see a lot of really late comebacks in the CFL just because the pace is so much quicker. And also there's the Rouge.
Greatest scoring play in all sports.
Where technically speaking, you can win a CFL game 1-0, which I don't think has ever happened, but I like that
we're still rooting for it.
I like that the possibility exists.
Or you can just, and another option, Joe, is just to enjoy the league and don't worry about having a favorite team. One last football note. We have lost to McCown, fellas.
Oh, no. What happened?
Yeah.
Josh,
we're down out of McCown's, I think.
Josh, and wait for this middle name. It's beautiful. Treadwell McCown announced his retirement from the NFL today.
Josh Treadwell. Oh, man. So I'm assuming he's going to get into Canton.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is Luke gone?
I don't know.
I believe so. I believe this was the last of the McCown.
No, did we lose a McCown? Did we lose the last McCown?
Oh, okay. Hang on.
That information was passed along to us by.
Yes, Luke is retired. So
there was Luke, Josh. Wasn't there a third one? I mean, not Zeppo. Obviously, we always joked about, but
no. It's always just been Luke and Josh. But
there was 3.
It always seemed like there were 3 because they always kept moving around.
Yeah, they were all over the place. But yeah.
Well, Zeppo is still out there in spirit. Well,
technically, there is another McCown. He just did not play in the NFL.
Okay.
Josh McCown. He was the last McCown. He's.
Oh no.
We are going to. This is uncharted territory. We're entering a McCownless NFL.
You know what? I'll bet you he's back by week 8. Somebody will need him. He'll come back.
The Raiders will be like...
The Raiders, right.
The Raiders going to have the depth chart of Peterman and McCown by week 8.
Anyway, on that note, folks, follow us on Twitter at Basically Sports. Subscribe via iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and YouTube. As always, thanks for listening, and we will see you next time.
Stay tuned next week for our Women's World Cup talk.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, well, I'll be looking forward to that. All right, folks, we'll see you next week.
Later.
Go US of A.